Yes,
Sorry, guys.
31
forgot.
Hunting Lane. To discuss 31 Hunting Lane, 41 North Main Street, Igor Lebowski et al. Versus the Town of Sherburne, Land Court number 21, MISC PS 000193, parentheses HPS, and 31 Hunting Lane, LLC versus the Sherburne Board of Appeals, Housing Appeals Committee number 2021-05, and 41 North Main Street, LLC versus the Sherburne Board of Appeals, Housing Appeals Committee number 2021-06. Item number 3, meeting with Town Council to discuss DPW personnel issue pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 3, 7, and Suffolk Construction versus DCAM 449, Mass 444, parentheses 2007.
Thank you, Diane. And I do deem that an executive session is warranted on the items that were just read. So I move that we now move to enter executive session. I need a second and a roll call vote. Okay, Marion?
Did I hear a second?
Yeah, Eric did.
Okay, aye.
George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I am I as well. So we'll now move to executive session. Can you see the agenda now?
The executive session.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on it. I'm going there.
There it is, right there.
Okay, recording is on now. Is it not? Yeah. So we are now, I'm now calling to order the Sherborne Select Board meeting open session on June 16th, 2022. We're apologize for running a little bit late. And I'd like to ask the town administrator to read the agenda, please.
Okay, good evening. After I read the agenda, the board can vote to amend or approve the agenda. Public comments, Zach Watt is with us tonight. He does have a public comment that he'd like to make to everybody. Any items may be taken out of order, and any topics not anticipated 40 hours in advance of the meeting may be added. Item number 1 is the consent agenda, which is the payroll warrant for the interim town administrator. Some select board minutes, April 7th, April 21st, and April 26th are before the board. And the next scheduled meeting date is June 30th. Item number 2 is consideration of approval of the updated housing production plan. Gino Carlucci, the town planner, is here. Item number 3 is the update on the 350-year celebration, and George Fisk is here to speak on that. Item number 4 is consideration of signing the TRC contract, and Daryl Beasley from the Board of Health is here tonight, and I forwarded you her fact sheet prior to the meeting. Number 5 is consideration of appointment of Matthew Smith to the Sherburne Police Department, and Chief Thomas Galvin will be here to introduce him. Item number 6 is consideration of a grant anticipation note award and signing, Heidi Doyle, our town treasurer. Item number 7 is consideration of a grant to the fire department and a gift from the Lewis family of 172 Forest Street, and Chief Zach Ward will be here to explain that. Item number 8 is consideration of proclamations. We have William Gillette, who's received the rank of Eagle Scout, and there is a special proclamation for David Linsky. Item number 9 is 40B Farm Road Homes, consideration of sending comments to Mass Housing. Item number 10 is the consideration of vote of appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions, and that sheet is attached. Item number 11 is review of the draft meeting calendar for July through December 2022. And item number 12 is routine business, select board reports, and the interim town administrator reports. That's it.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
So I think I'd like to take any motions relative to the agenda.
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Marion? You're muted, Mary. I'll take that as an aye. George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I am I as well. So it's a great agenda. So I'd next like to ask Fire Chief Zach Ward is going to make a public service announcement, I believe. Are you here, Zach?
I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I just wanted to come before the board and the town quickly. As some of you may know, one of our firefighters is ill currently, and he's experiencing stage 5 kidney failure, and he's in need of a kidney transplant. So there's a lot going on to support him, and there's a lot online and out in the public. We actually we shared a link to a GoFundMe to our Facebook page, and I just wanted to also announce that the Fire and Rescue Association is going to be holding a spaghetti dinner here on the 29th, so 2 Wednesdays from now at 5:30, in an effort to raise some funds for him. So we're doing everything we can to support him.
Excellent, thank you. And they've already, from the online thing, it looked like they'd already raised pretty much money on the GoFundMe already and making continued progress, right?
Yeah, it's been doing very well, which is great. It's great to see. So
Good. Thanks for the announcement.
thank you.
Okay, does anyone like to make a motion relative to the consent agenda?
Move approved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Marion,
aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I am I as well. Excellent. So our next agenda item is Gino Carlucci, and I'm not sure if Addie May is joining him in talking about the consideration of the updated housing production plan. Are you here, Gino? Where is he?
He was here.
I see Addie. I don't see Gino.
He was on earlier.
He was here earlier.
Let me check the waiting room. No, no one in the waiting room. Huh?
Let me text him and see if he's just having technical problems.
Yeah.
In the meantime, the other thing the planning board needs to do is call them their meeting in order.
Okay, let's see if we, I appreciate it, Frank. Let's see if he doesn't come quickly. Maybe we'll go on to George Fisk and come back to it, though.
I think he jumped off because by accident he got into executive session, so he hopped off. I told him to just get back onto the meeting, so he should
Oh,
be
is
here in a second.
George Fisk? Do you see George Fisk? I can't see everyone off the screen. I don't see George Fisk here either.
Gino's coming back on.
Is he joining?
There he is.
You let him in?
Yeah, I see him there.
All right.
I see him on my right
He
screen.
is muted.
Gino, can you hear us?
Yes.
You're on deck, my friend, or actually
terrific.
you're in the batter's box. You're not on deck.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking about the updated housing production plan. Do you want me to share that document on my screen, or do you just want to talk to it?
Why don't I just give a brief overview, and then if people
Yeah.
want to see it, then you could share it.
Perfect.
I think Addie May might want to say something first.
Do we need to call planning board to session first or?
Oh,
Yeah, Frank
Yes.
already mentioned that. That was going to be my
Okay.
next point.
Okay. Can I call I guess I'll call the planning board to session and all in favor, Addie May, aye, Frank
Aye.
and Rob.
All right.
And I don't think Chris Owen or Will Dunham could make it tonight, so. All right, thank you.
okay, thanks. So if you remember, we originally did a housing production plan in 2017. It's good for 5 years. We would do for an update. So this update is there are some changes to the goals and strategies. That's chapter 2, which is the most important part. The rest of it is essentially statistics, which have been all updated. And so they don't really affect the substance of the document. The well, for the goals and strategies first, if you looked at the document, there are 12. There used to be 11, and one of the updates was to account for the possibility of cooperating with abutting towns of city of Framingham and town of Natick for water and sewer service to serve a housing project on the town border or near the town border. The benefit of a housing production plan, in addition to just being a presentation of the town's policies and intentions regarding housing, is when there's an approved housing production plan that's approved by DHCD, the town becomes eligible for safe harbor status if it increases its affordable housing stock by a certain amount. And by that, if it's increased by 0.5%, then the town would get a 1-year safe harbor. If it increases by 1%, it gets a 2-year safe harbor. So we did have a 2-year safe harbor upon the granting of a comprehensive permit to the Coolidge Crossing project, and that status becomes effective upon granting of a permit. It doesn't have to wait until the housing is built. However, the contingent on that is that building permit be issued within 12 months of that approval, or it goes away. So actually, tomorrow is the anniversary of the granting of the special permit. So we will no longer have safe harbor status after tomorrow. However, this will get us back in the queue, kind of, as being eligible for safe harbor status. So whenever there's the next 40B project that it gains approval, if it produces a minimum of 8 units of affordable housing, we would get the 1 year, or 16 units, we would get a 2-year safe harbor. So I think that's just the overview. And if you have any questions, I or Addie May actually could respond to those.
I'd move approval.
Oh, I got a few items.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead, Paul?
So I generally prefer not seeing references to a board of selectmen in 2022.
Yeah, in my my 15th review today, I noticed that, and we will correct that for sure before submitting it.
Wonderful. The other comment is that back in the day, I was very active with regard to the acquisition of the caustic property. And the purposes of the town's purchase and holding of the caustic property is not consistent with the proposal in the housing plan to consider it for multifamily housing. That there are higher purposes for this land other than that. So I don't entirely agree with that portion of it, but I note it only says to consider it. So I'm gonna support the plan, but I am not comfortable with that. There's a lot of competing uses that we've been dealing with recently. There was a request for it to be used for a senior center. Before then, there was a request that we move the fire department out of the downtown so we could free up commercial business space and put the fire department on the caustic property. So over the years, there's been a lot of uses proposed for that property, none of which are consistent with why the town has the property. We seem to have lost the intent and the purpose of that property. And so I see that that purpose has been lost in this housing production plan. As I say, I'll vote for it, but I don't think it should be in this plan. Thanks.
You want to respond to that, Addie May?
I would. Thanks, Paul. Many of you probably remember, throughout the 2016 and then going into 2017, we did a lot of research, and a lot of housing production plans have kind of similar exercises where the committee members were asked to think about this strategy, think about that strategy. And one strategy is look at all the properties throughout town, and is there a property that the town owns that maybe could be used? Even at the time in 2017, when this was published, the Caustic property was not an ideal property because of the existing situation with Wells, the town campus and all. However, there's a requirement to have these exercises as illustrations. So it's not it's definitely, as you say, Paul, I know that Caustic property gets bounced around for a lot of mullings and it's not necessarily appropriate. However, there's a requirement to have an example. So again, a lot of our goals and strategies and concepts remain the same, and it's part of the exercise of thinking about affordable housing and where do we find it and how do we make it happen. And it doesn't always jive with the reality of what we have here in town. So I guess it as far as removing it, to remove it would be removing that process that's being asked by the state to consider what goals and strategies, and not having any other parcels that we've been able to consider in 5 years that would work, and not having a better situation. I'd like to keep it.
I think it's an example too, that it's not to say that everything will be implemented, but it's an example of the kinds of projects that could be. Does anyone have any other comments from the select board on the housing production plan?
No, I made a motion.
I would
I
second
don't-
George's
second it.
motion. Yep.
Anyone in the public have any other input? I don't see anyone's hands raised. So let's take a vote. Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I might as well. And so Gino, I'll come in the morning when it's ready to sign the letter. I think Diane's going to put it on letterhead and everything.
Great.
I
Do you have a question, Frank?
Yes, is there any, anything to update us on the Coolidge project? Is there something that we can talk about or?
We don't have it on the agenda, Frank, but just when Marion and I spoke to Baystone, and they're talking with a potential other developer to come in. So that's kind of the last we've heard on it. So that's, I will try to reach out to Baystone again just to see where they're at, because we were hoping to hear from them by now, but we haven't. So I'll try to get an update.
So it's not dead, but we're going to lose our safe harbor, but we still have work to do. Okay, thank you.
And Frank, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes.
Do you want to adjourn your meeting?
Well, before we adjourn our meeting, I think there's one order of business that we still need to do in our meeting, and that is that the planning board, and the reason that we're in session is also to vote on this housing plan.
Oh, my apologies.
And so there's our discussion on that as well. So
Good. I'm sorry about that. I'm a rookie.
And Frank, thank you. Do you want to lead the charge on that?
certainly, I make a motion that we accept the housing plan. Gino, as stated and as also voted on by the select board.
Second.
Do we have any discussions? I just have a quick question for Gino. I did submit off of this meeting offline some minor corrections to you. Were you able to see those and do something with those?
Yes.
Okay. So all those in favor, Addie May,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Frank, I as well. So passes unanimously to the planning board.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Okay. Addie May is, all those in favor of adjourning planning board session, Addie May is aye. Frank
aye.
and Rob Wolf.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys, for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you, both
Appreciate it.
boards.
So I still don't see George Fisk, so I think I'll just read it and maybe Diane, we'll put this on the 30th agenda
Yeah, I'll
also.
bring
but-
it back. I tried calling him and I even texted him, but I'm not getting a
Yeah,
response.
but basically you saw in our packet that, we're developing the plan to celebrate Sherburne's 350th anniversary in 2024. And they're recommending now, their team is recommending the select board appoint a steering committee as soon as possible to start planning for the event. And their small team, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, have already got some ideas, but they'd like our input as well. So why don't we be thinking about this in the next 2 weeks, and then on the 30th, we'll try to get George to come back and discuss it with us. Anyone else have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, why can't we adopt the idea of creating this committee?
Well,
And,
I think we should have the names first, though, don't you think, Paul? Or do you want to just create a committee?
well, I think you ought to let people know that there's a committee and they can apply for it. But I
True.
certainly want to hear what they have to say. But I think we adopted all kinds of processes for volunteers to go through some procedure.
Correct.
So-
So we should follow the same procedure. You're right, Paul.
The same procedure as the prior celebrations, you mean, the 300?
No, to appoint any committee. We should post that there's a committee.
Yes,
People can apply through Diane.
yeah,
I think Paul's right. Maybe we make a motion tonight to form that committee and then we go from there.
30-day advertisement requirement and so on.
Yeah.
okay.
So I think we should be consistent with everybody, especially with everything,
No, I agree. I just didn't know if we needed to do it tonight. We could do it 2 weeks from tonight where George is here and, he can describe the committee. But if you wanted, if we advertise it, we're going to have to write a description, I would think, of what they want.
right, true.
And a makeup
I
of it.
don't know what George wants right now, whether he wants financial people, if it's fundraising, organize, probably a whole host of things. I'm open to making that motion, but I personally would wait 2 weeks, and I don't think it's going to delay it.
Well,
given
this
that-
memo said as soon as possible.
Well, I
But you-
know, but it's for 2024, so I'm not feeling like it's, but if you want to make the motion, Paul, we can vote on it. That's fine. I don't, Sean has this, let's listen to Sean first. Sean, do you want to give us some guidance here?
I'm not sure he was trying to create a public committee. I think that's why he called it a steering committee. You might want to make sure before you do that, because
Well,
they're
his-
going to be open to public meeting laws and everything else.
His words are, we believe it's the select board should appoint a steering committee. That's all he said.
That's going to be subject to the open meeting law.
Right,
It
it would
says-
be. I think I'd like to hear from George a little more detail before we form this committee and open it up to appointments, because we need to know, exactly what kind of skills and talents they want and need on this steering committee. And I think he should be able to describe it better for us.
And how many people and everything, yeah.
Right. True. So let's put it off.
Are you okay with that, Paul?
Yes, I was going to suggest that we ask him to prepare a charge for the committee so that we
Okay.
can take action
Yep.
Uh,
That's a good
the next-
suggestion.
next meeting.
Yep. Which is the 30th. Very good. Okay, our next agenda item is Daryl talking about the signing of a TRC contract with relation to the general chemical issues. You need me to share anything, Daryl, or are you planning to? I think I have the proposal I can bring up if you want.
Either way, whatever works for you, I can give the shortest possible description, and then people can ask questions if they would
Why
like.
don't why don't we wait then? I won't bring it up unless we need it.
Okay. So basically, this is for TRC, who's been under contract to the town in the past to assist with some general chemical questions, and I'm not sure what other work they might have done with the town. They also worked with Framingham when the general chemical contamination issue came to light, and worked there for many years with them. Some money at the state level has been additional money besides the money that was left by General Chemical before they moved out for cleanup, but additional monies that would get much closer to a more complete cleanup were set aside. However, there isn't going to be much motivation to use that money if it's not identified that it's posing a risk. Anytime they're deciding on how to do cleanups, risk assessments are performed. And certainly if the drinking water in Sherborn is being impacted, that would be a significant driver to apply those monies to the site. So the state had done some evaluation trying to see whether they could tie General Chemical to elevated contaminant levels in some of the wells sampled in Sherborn in prior years. But in 2022, we've had quite a number of wells sampled. Besides all the public water supply sampling that was mandated, there was also the DEP program to sample private wells. So we have a wealth of data now. And I think the potential to have someone who's an expert in this property and the issue, just see if this data shows or indicates any connection to General Chemical. And the reason for that would be by having a better cleanup of that site, if it's moving toward Sherborn, which all information seems to suggest it will eventually move into Sherborn, it would certainly avoid a lot of costs to the residents to be putting treatment systems on their individual homes. So might be money well spent. But I'm just putting it out there for your consideration.
So I had a couple of comments.
Well, actually, you need to raise your hand. So Eric raised his hand first, I think.
Yeah, just to note, this is obviously directly linked to the General Chemical site in Framingham. I'm going to have to recuse myself, so I'm just going to sign off for a short bit and then not be involved with the vote.
Do you want me to just put you in the waiting room so you don't have to sign off?
It makes no difference. This one's short and minor, so it doesn't. I'm fine.
I'll just do it. Okay. So Marion and then Paul, please.
All right, thanks, Daryl. It certainly would be great to have a general chemical cleanup proceed and to have a reason to do that. It's unfortunate that the DEP study of the Meadowbrook Road PFAS contamination concluded pretty clearly that it was not from General Chemical. So what we really need are more PFAS readings in the wells relevant to the plume. And if I recall, the PFAS testing program was not particularly focused on the area that the plume may be migrating into. It was kind of all over town. So I'm wondering to what degree we need more citizen collaboration in getting PFAS, citizen collaboration in the northwest part of town to get more PFAS data focused on that area of town. Yeah, do you feel then that we have enough PFAS well data to refute the DEP's conclusion?
One, I think the DEP's survey was certainly more limited, and with the latest, there are a lot more data points now to look at and consider, and we are higher than what they were finding in other comparable, and by that I mean sort of semi-rural areas. It's even though we're in a densely developed area, hence being near General Chemical, but and we also don't know exactly which way it's flowing, so focusing on Meadowbrook may or may not be the place. I mean,
we know
that's the general direction, but we're not sure.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. We know it is in the general northwest area of town. So I'm just wondering what kind of PFAS data we have on other wells in that general area of town, not just Meadowbrook.
So I think one can be a little more, it's much easier to determine groundwater flow direction in the overburden. But given that our wells are in the bedrock, once you hit bedrock fractures, kind of anything is game for direction, speed of travel. Very hard to know that.
Yeah.
So that's why with our bedrock wells, I don't know that we have to be in the path of the overburden flow. It could, once it hits the bedrock and enters fractures, can go in the opposite direction. So, and part of this is not to have any kind of exhaustive study, but let's take the next wave of data that's available, have someone who's very knowledgeable take a look at it and see what they come up with. So I can't guarantee that. I mean, it'd be great if no connection is found. Of course, then we have the question of why are our levels so much higher than anticipated. But
are we
it's sort of a window of opportunity that this additional, I think it was something like 10 or 12 million dollars that was sort of set aside for this potentially might disappear and be used on some other worthy project. So
yeah, that's a good point. You know, I agree with you absolutely. The more data, the better. So part of my question was, is there more PFAS testing being done with this goal in mind?
So I think another thing we might consider, there are people doing PFAS testing of their homes around town, but they don't want to make that information public. And they have been finding PFAS. But that's a tricky position to put a homeowner in. And I don't know, to ask for information to be submitted anonymously, how could we ever control that? So we can ask, perhaps, for those who have done testing on the side if they want to contribute their data. But as a town, who receives that? Because if they haven't reported themselves to the state, if they exceed the drinking water standard, as government authorities, we would have to do that. And I'm uncomfortable, you know, without educating a homeowner as to the implications. I'm uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, good.
Even though it's good to get the information. It's.
I accept that. From the town's point of view, it'd be nice to have the information, even if it's anonymous, but it wouldn't probably serve for this purpose. My other question is, now that the EPA has come out with PFAS acceptable standards that are basically zero, any amount of PFAS is too much PFAS. So all of our wells would qualify toward this.
Yes.
And then my last comment is that the figures on their estimate just look to me like just ballpark. You know, they've thrown out certain number of thousands of dollars, and I wouldn't want to know a lot more about what kind of work they're going to do for that, because most of it, of the first three at least, are basically taking the data from the general chemical site and the data that DEP have produced basically, and write a review for us. So
yes,
you know,
and
it's like a lot of money to me, basically.
well, so here's the way I view it. We asked them for just some general categories of things that could be done. They know what our primary interest is at the moment, or at least what mine was when I spoke with them about it. They prepared a contract. After speaking with Diane, we talked about two things. One, a not to exceed category. And then the other part of what I'm suggesting, that if there was an approval, one was just to approve the contract, and the other was to have the town administrator work with other representatives in town. So before TRC proceeded on any tasks, it would be mapped out by the administrator with I said possibly select board, groundwater protection committee and board of health, or some combination thereof, to say, we want you to look at this and do that and tell us this, and don't, write a 50-page paper or anything else. Just, we could shape it. I don't know what those answers would be right now. I have some ideas about what they could be, but I think it should be a small group of people who work with TRC to define the scope of anything they undertake, so that will control the cost.
Right, and maybe we could take it in steps.
Yes.
I wouldn't
Oh,
want-
yes. And we may not need any of those. Part of that was they wanted to just offer other ideas for what might be done. Doesn't mean that's what has to be done. And one could always rewrite tasks, and we don't have to take any of the tasks on. They viewed it as a menu of options.
So let me ask a question, Daryl. So the agenda item says consideration of signing the contract. Who would sign the contract? Is it the Board of Health or the Select Board? Who is going to be contracting with TRC?
I know that the select board had TRC under contract in the past, so my understanding was that this would somehow continue on from that.
And so that's related, then is there a budget for this, or would you have to reserve fund transfer this $50,000 or whatever the amount ends up being?
I don't know exactly how you fund this sort of thing. So
Okay,
maybe
well,
I'm not the expert to ask, but I would see it more as I said, decide what the task is, what the level of effort and the cost is going to be, and then, or if there's an agreement with that, then fund just piecemeal.
So in other words, we don't need a vote tonight, is what you're saying. We need to refine this proposal. Is that what you're saying?
No, the way if you read the terms and conditions, it's not something that they're just going to launch into.
It's a not to exceed price in the column, I noticed.
Right, but also, let's see, how else would I put it? They don't undertake any of the tasks categories that they have there, and the details are to be determined, but they don't undertake it without authorization to proceed. So
for each of those tasks, Daryl, I would like to hear from them in more detail what they're actually going to do before we approve the money.
okay, so my understanding of this contract is that it's a contract to cover services that may include those, not to automatically cover all of those services.
But it's a
But you may have a different interpretation of it, and please have a look. The only reason I was also bringing it up, if you want to study it further, is I was advised that this would be good to get before you in this fiscal year because of the availability of funds. But if that's not a driver for timing, then we have time.
So I had my hand up for a while, but I wanted
Oh,
to.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it, Paul.
So first I wanted to thank Daryl for bringing this forward. I like the idea of doing more with General Chemical rather than less. I have a serious problem with the contract, just speaking as a lawyer. What bothers me about it is that we're giving essentially a blank check to an unstated town representative. So they start the time clock when a town representative asks them to do something. So if the police department asks them to do something, or if the DPW asks them to do something, or anybody calls up and asks them to do something, we have to pay money. It just, from a lawyer's point of view, that's not a good contract. It needs to say that somebody by position has to authorize any expenditure, and that needs to be in the contract. So again, I'm speaking as a lawyer. I suspect this hasn't been reviewed by town council, because if town council had reviewed this, he would have seen that and had felt that it needed to be reworded. The second problem I have is the source of funds. So from my days on advisory and rubbing elbows with the likes of 3 advisory committee members on the Board of Selectmen, it's always an issue about where $50,000 would come from. And I understand it's not immediately triggered until some unnamed person triggers it. But history has proven that if you put aside money and have it for a purpose, it tends to get used. So there has to be a plan about where this money is going to come from. And the reference to doing it in this fiscal year suggests that in the last 2 months of a fiscal year, the advisory committee and the Board of Selectmen can transfer funds between accounts. So is that what this is about? Is to utilize that power? And that's the suggestion? Or is it there's leftover money in the reserve fund? And we want to put a claim in for that. So it's not clear to me what the source of funding is. But I don't think we should be signing contracts unless we know what the funding is and how much is available. Not the other way around, to sign a contract and then have anybody be able to trigger the expenditure and then have to scramble when a bill comes in to figure out where we're going to get the money. So I don't think this is organized well enough yet. But I like the idea of everything you've said, that Daryl has said. And again, I thank her for being on the ball on this thing. I just think it needs a legal attention.
Just to add to that on the finance side, Daryl, we do have one more meeting in the fiscal year. So if we can figure all this out by June 30th, and it is important to get it in this fiscal year, then there's no reason we can't put this on the agenda in 2 weeks.
I'm perfectly fine. I'm more interested in the general issue and had stuff go to Diane because I don't want to be negotiating a contract on behalf of the town, but I would certainly be willing to help. And I think it's, given what Paul said, it's certainly reasonable to say, all right, they were trying to be helpful and provide a menu of things that could be done. Maybe we just want to limit it right off the bat to one very narrow task. And that's also okay. I don't have any particular stake other than I think the sooner we act, the better off we'll be, because the longer contamination sits in the ground, the more it spreads, the harder it gets to clean up, and then it will never happen. So that's, I guess, also my short version of what concerns me about this.
Yeah, and I think we need to figure out who, as Paul sort of alluded to, who's managing this contract, whether it's maybe groundwater protection possibly, but someone needs to be then negotiating the scope and, processing the invoices. Who's the town contractor?
Well,
contractee
maybe,
or-
yeah, I could see, I'm not sure you're going to get contract specialists on boards and committees, but maybe that's why I was
No, I mean, the person to
suggesting
manage
maybe
it, yeah.
town administrator, but for technical input, it could be Marion, or it could be Tom Trainer, or Lisa Camp, or me, or something, and then work it out as a group with different people bringing different strengths to help.
Well, let's talk about it
Craft the scope.
offline then. I think I don't,
Okay.
it's not quite ready, I don't think. Did you have something else you wanted to add, Marion?
No, just to say that I do agree with the urgency of this.
Yeah.
So I support Daryl's effort and
Yeah, yeah.
thank her, but I think we need to get it defined better. That's all.
Yep. And so I'm happy to work with you on that. thanks again. Our next agenda item is the appointment of Matthew Smith, the Sherburne Police Department. Chief Galvin.
Well, good evening. So tonight I'm asking the board to appoint Matthew Smith as our next full-time police officer to fill the vacancy that was created by the resignation of Officer Chris Hallisey in December. So Matt is currently enrolled in the 4+1 program at Fitchburg State University. In May, he completed his bachelor's degree in criminal justice and immediately began the police academy, which is actually part of the curriculum in this program. After completing the academy, he'll be able to begin working while he completes his master's degree. And I call it the 4+1 program, and Matt may be able to explain a little bit better, but Matt kind of made it the 3+1 program through taking advantage of intercession classes and AP classes when he was in high school to actually get into the police academy portion a year early. So Matt grew up in Burlington. He attended Arlington Catholic High School before Fitchburg State. In addition to that, he served as a dispatcher for the Hampton, New Hampshire Police Department. He was a first responder for the Fitchburg State University EMS. And he served as a resident assistant at Fitchburg State and performed an internship with the Burlington Police Department. We met Matt at an open house at Fitchburg State when we were doing some recruiting. I invited him here one day to see our police department. It happened to be a day that he spent a little over an hour with us as we did some training, and really proved himself to be an incredible candidate. And we worked hard to get him to want to come here and be part of our department in Sherburne. I'm looking forward to his addition and what he's going to bring here. And I would ask you that to appoint him tonight. And Matt is here in the meeting. If maybe Matt, you'd like to introduce yourself to the board and to the residents.
Go ahead, Matt. You've got the floor.
Thank you, guys. And I appreciate your time, and I appreciate Chief Galvin for this opportunity. I can't be more thankful for it. Just to give you guys a brief rundown of myself, I'm the oldest of three. I have two younger sisters. One currently goes to Framingham State, right next door to Sherborn, and I have one who's still in high school. Not to repeat what Chief Galvin said, but I'm graduate of Arlington Catholic High School. There, I tried to take advantage of some of the AP classes that they offered. So when it came to college, I turned a 4-year program into a 3-year program. So I just took some extra classes over the winter and summer. Didn't really give myself much time off for that, but it let me go to the police academy a whole year earlier, which I'm just really excited about. Currently in the week 5 of the police academy. It's been a challenge, but it's been a welcome challenge, and I feel like it's making me a better person and overall and very fit as well. I also worked for the Hampton Police Department as a dispatcher over the summer for about a year now. I just wrapped up with them at the start of the police academy, and again, met Chief Galvin at the open house that the school hosted, and when he invited me down, I got to know the town of Sherborne and the police department a lot. And I learned it's the place I really would love to be at, and very thankful if I were to get appointed. So I thank you guys.
Thank you. That's an awesome program, I think, the 4+1, 3+1 in your case. Does anyone on the select board have any comments to make? If not, can I make a motion then?
Yeah, happy to move to appoint him to what's the position he's being appointed to? Patrol officer?
Full-time police officer. Yep.
Full-time police officer.
Second, Marion?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Eric? You're muted, but we'll take that as an aye. Paul? And I am I as well. Congratulations, Matt, and thanks. We're looking forward to meeting you in person.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is Heidi Doyle with the grant anticipation note and signing. Are you there, Heidi? There you are.
Yes, good evening. So I'm here for 2 votes. I want to split up the grant acceptance and then assigning authority as a separate vote. So we had the bid the day before the feds hiked the rate, which did help us. And the bids came from essentially just some local banks. It's a small amount that went out. But the award that won was for Norwood Bank, which currently has it. So they would be renewing the note, and it's for 1.84%. The high bid that we
Wow.
got was 3.25%.
Hmm.
So I'm very happy to at least get that rate for this. And I'm asking for a motion to award the 1-year grant participation note for the library building project in the amount of $363,360 to Norwood Bank. I don't know if you need the interest rate here, but that would be the motion.
So moved.
Second,
Marion,
aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I'm I as well.
Great. And then the second motion is to ask to have Diane Moores as interim town administrator sign the grant anticipation note documents on behalf of the select board so we can get this sent in under, there's a new program that they have that some documents are uploaded, but we still have to have a physical signing of this document.
So moved.
Second.
Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I'm I as well. Thank you,
Okay,
Heidi.
that's it. Thank you.
That was quick. Next item is the grant for the fire department for the Lewis family on 172 Forest Street in Chief Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We actually have two separate items under that line. We were lucky enough to be awarded an AED grant. That was actually, it actually came out the week after the board approved the ARPA request for AEDs. That's in the amount of $2,085. And then in addition to that, we're asking for the board to accept a donation from the Lewis family in the amount of $500.
So moved.
So moved.
Second,
Marion,
aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I am I as well. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Should we send a note? Will you maybe draft a note on fire department stationery just to thank them? Is that what you
I actually
typically do?
already did. I was just waiting for the board to accept the donation.
All right, we'll always accept donations.
That's right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Zach.
Thanks, Zach.
So now we have the consideration of two proclamations. Do you want to just describe them quickly, Diane? I think we all know what they are.
Yes, we have two proclamations here. One is for William Galat, who has earned the rank of Eagle Scout. And the next one is for Representative David Linsky at the request of Select Board Member Paul DeRensis.
Yeah, and I was going to add 2 points. One, I don't know, I'm still the chair of the Boy Scout troop in town. So Will, if you haven't seen it, he created a sign down by the ramp on the town, boat ramp on the town pond, farm pond, showing some of the wildlife and fish in the pond. So it's kind of an interesting display that's there now. And I know we should probably, Paul, do you want to just describe, we're having an event for David Linsky also, I think is it I forget, the 22nd, I think, isn't it?
Yes, at Town Hall.
Okay.
This
Do you
is
want to describe
because-
it?
Yes, the general court has done redistricting this year because of the census. And so Sherburne is being moved into a different district than David Linsky's district. So we are losing David Linsky as our legislator. And he has represented us since 1999, which is 23 years. And during that time, he has fought the good fight for the town of Sherburne and has been very helpful and has advocated for the town and got us enacted a number of home rule petitions. So we want to thank him for his service, and we want to give him some recognition of appreciation. He's going to be in town for a meeting at Town Hall on the 22nd. The public is invited. It's the sponsor of the event is the Sherburne Democratic Town Committee. And please come.
Thank you.
Paul,
Yeah.
can I add, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they plan to have the candidates to, for our new legislature speak at that meeting. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it's a chance to see, who you'd like to vote for our representative.
Correct.
Interesting. That's good. Well, I've already signed both of them, so I think one thing we need to do is select board needs to go in and sign them. If we can. I think for proclamations, I really like it to be, not have Diane sign for us. I like if it's gonna be a proclamation. I think it's important to be wet signature from the individuals. If
I
we
can swing by town hall tomorrow, Diane, to
Yeah.
do signatures.
And we don't need to we don't need to vote on this, do we, Diane? Or
Yes.
Paul?
We usually,
Yes.
we do, we vote on them.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
Move to adopt both proclamations.
Second,
Okay, before we vote, Jackie, did you want us to, did you have a
Yeah, if-
concern about this?
no, I just wanted to say, if any of you are going to be in town hall tomorrow, then I would need to know what time, because I actually need at least one more select board member to sign the Obed Lane release.
Can you be there around 8:15?
Yeah, I can be there around 8:15 tomorrow,
Okay,
yes.
I got the kids get on the bus a little around 8 and I can just, and I'll shoot over after that.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Sounds good. So we've had a motion and a second. Marion,
aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I am I as well. That's great. All right, the next item for consideration is 40B Farm Road Homes, consideration of sending comments to Mass Housing. We've requested, as we noted, I think at the prior meeting, that we would ask for an extension because the walkthrough was delayed to this week. And so we asked for an extension of 30 days, and that's been granted to July 20th is the
Yes.
due date. So what we're proposing here is that we ask for all the boards and committees and commissions to submit to the select board by June 30th, all of their comments, so roughly 2 weeks from now. And then town council and the select board could work on drafting the letter to be submitted. And we would review at our July 14th meeting, mid-July meeting, we would review that final draft document, make any last minute changes, and then we would send it. That would be 6 days before the July 20th new deadline, and we would then send it to Mass Housing. So that's the game plan. Does anyone on the select board have anything they want to add to that or question about that?
Sounds
I
excellent.
do, Jeff.
Go ahead, Mary, and then Paul.
Oh, sorry, Paul.
Er-
Didn't see your hand. Yeah, some of the select board members were on the site visit. Unfortunately, I couldn't be. But we've all seen the plans, and I'm wondering if we have scheduled any time before that last meeting when we review everyone's input and discuss our letter, if we're going to take any time to have a select board discussion of the project in general, or you correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm thinking planning board too much, but in the past, has the select board had their own discussion of such projects prior to putting the letter together? I know the letter comes from us and we incorporate everyone else's comments, but I just want to make sure we have time to discuss it ourselves.
Well, I'll recognize Daryl in a minute. I was just looking. So we're meeting on June 30th, but we wouldn't have any comments by June 30th is what we're proposing. We would give them these 2 weeks to develop their comments because that probably is a pretty lengthy process. And then we right now don't have another meeting till that July 14th meeting. So what we would have to, I don't disagree with you. What we would have to consider is an intervening meeting the week of the 4th of July also. So I don't know.
That's right. I mean, I'd like to hear from other members.
Yeah,
Maybe you don't.
I don't
feel
know.
that's-
I don't know what we've done in the past. So Daryl, but why don't we listen to the other members? Eric, do you want to advise us on this?
I mean, just real quick, I'll be curious as well what we've done in the past. What I thought the process was, I thought we we're largely a clearinghouse. So we basically get, I call them technical comments from the boards that basically are kind of more working boards and involve either zoning, public health, water supply, wetlands, and that type of stuff. And we kind of cleared those. I guess we could form our own opinion on it. You know what I mean? I'm almost this early in the stage, I almost be hesitant to do that without more details about the project. I don't know. I'll be interested in the select board's thoughts of how they would like to approach this. I always thought we were kind of like I said, a clearinghouse where we basically consolidated the technical board's comments, but I think anything would be up for grabs.
Just to respond to Eric, Jeff, if I can, before Daryl.
Yeah,
On that, I'm just thinking back to what we did on Hunting Lane. So I feel like that was the last one that we responded to, or, yeah, I think so. We accumulated the comments from all the regulatory boards. And then I feel like we did form some of our own opinion as well. So I think what we should do is have a chance to review the plan and the comments. And a lot of it, most of it is though, an accumulation of the comments from the regulatory boards. We're really digging into the weeds on this. We don't really, our role is not really to do that. It's more to, we can pull it all together and say, based on recommendations from our Board of Health and our Conservation Commission and our planning, this is what we think as a town.
If I could actually respond to that also real quick, I think you're right. I remember that. The only thing is there was no board that kind of determined title right of property, and that one had the issue of the title right, which would kind of be a select board issue to some degree.
Right. That's what, yeah, that's right. Because we talked about the 61A or whatever, 61B, whatever it is on that one, where this one doesn't have that.
Maybe we'd be like a clearinghouse for anything that we don't feel is adequately covered by another board, something like that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
well, Diane, you raised your hand first. Did you want to add something?
I just wanted to say, is it all right with the board if I bring council into the meeting on the 30th for the discussion, when we review all the comments and have her put the draft together?
Anyone have any thoughts? I think if we'll have, if we have, I don't know how the comments, I would expect to be, as George said, somewhat detailed and probably not brief. So we wouldn't have that much time to have reviewed them if we want to give them as much time as possible to draft the comments.
My gut tells me if it's open session, we're not going to ask legal advice. You know what I mean? Certain guidance, whatever else. We can decide if we want their guidance afterwards. We can talk and decide, and council can look at the recording, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And decide like, okay, this thing and that thing and so forth, we have, and then go back to them afterwards and ask legal advice.
Okay, just checking.
Because, at least when I was chair, I never like working meetings. I always try to have everything kind of resolved, and we look at fine and then, debate and then vote or whatever else. But I've always kind of been frustrated by working meetings, at least for select board. Might work with other groups.
Yeah, that makes sense, I think.
Okay.
So if
Go ahead, Paul.
I would very much like to hear from the public on this also. In connection with other projects in the past, usually people reach out to, or people have reached out to me with concerns that they have as residents of the community. So when you schedule this thing on June 30th, I don't want to see it limited just to our looking at what the Concom has to say or what the Board of Health has to say. I would very much like to see it opened up to anybody who has anything of value to say about the project. Give them an opportunity to be heard.
Well, let me ask a question related to that. How would we provide them with information? Or what would we give to the public to comment on? Just the sort of raw input from all the boards and commissions? That would seem to be too much.
So isn't the project on our website?
Yeah, we have the project
We have the
proposal on the website.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's on the website.
Yeah. So is that would be sufficient? Should we have that be included in the warrant article? I meant the warrant article on the select board June 30th meeting, or and have the link to that article perhaps there?
Yes.
Would that be useful?
Yes.
I do like that idea. I do like the idea of taking some public comment. What I don't want to do is take public comment at the same time you're trying to finalize the letter, and then that gets maybe the 30th. You take the comment and you basically note it, and then you basically absorb it and compile it with the other town committee comments as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then we should we're also, I think, agreeing that we'll have all the comments back by June 30th.
Yes.
So maybe you and I can draft a note to those people and get it out tomorrow or Monday so they know that that's what we're targeting, so that they're aware that we want their comments back by then.
I was working with Jeannie on sending out something tomorrow.
Good.
All the
All right.
boards and committees, that'll give them more time if we can get the email out to them tomorrow.
Okay,
Is that
that
okay?
sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
Marion, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Yeah, just quickly about process. If we have a general discussion among us, I mean, the letter should be more than just a compilation of the technical concerns of the various boards and committees. We want to take a broad view of this as well, and invite the public and incorporate all of those thoughts into our own thinking. So the process after June 30th, at what point do we have a draft? At what point do we review the draft? We want to give it some time. And like Eric, I don't want to work on this in a public meeting. We have to get a good draft outside of public meeting, but then we have to be able to review it individually before we come back into public meeting to request changes or make suggestions. So
What about if two of us worked on the draft and we didn't all work on the draft? What if we have the comments come in on the 30th? We have the public speak on the 30th, and then maybe two of the select board members could then, maybe town council could assemble, or the select board members could assemble and distill down the comments from the boards, but could also draft what I would refer to as an executive summary from the select board, or something along those lines. That's a higher level. Would that be a normal procedure? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Are there any select board members that would like to take the lead in drafting that?
I'm willing to, if no one else jumps forward.
I think they all jump backwards, Marion.
Yeah, their heads got very small in their Zoom.
I'm muting myself.
Paul, would you have time to assist her in that also? Because you have a lot of the legal background and a lot of developments in other towns. Would you have time to do that or no?
Well, right now I'm swamped with the stuff for other towns.
Okay.
It's just gone crazy out there.
I'm happy to work with Paul or anyone else who has time, but I can only work with one person before the public meeting.
Yeah, exactly. So it's either Eric or I. So which do you want to do it, or do you want me to do it, Eric? I'll do either way. I'm indifferent.
Yeah, I'm worried about my time as well, but I can take a look at it. I can take a second. I can be like a major editor or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm a little worried about having so many hours dedicated to it.
You have more background than I do, but all right. That sounds good.
I did do the site walk actually. So
yeah.
Oh, that's helpful.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other select board comments before I recognize Daryl? Okay, Daryl, you're up.
All right, I think I know the answer to this based on what you've been talking about, but so at the meeting last night, the Board of Health authorized 2 people to prepare comments, not knowing what the schedule was going to be. We have set up a special meeting on July 6th because there's just a lot of business to take care of, so we had to add a meeting. And we could either review what the 2 people have come up with, or we can proceed with just that being authorized to submit something to you, but it wouldn't have had full board consideration. Do you have a preference?
Well, I would prefer that the full board consider it before we get it.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Paul.
Well,
thank you.
The only thing I'm wondering, I might have misunderstood there. In other words, are you saying we wouldn't get your comments until the 6th of July?
Or the 7th?
Yeah.
Oh.
So would you think
that's a trade-off?
Would you think you would have draft comments by the 30th and then you hadn't voted on and reviewed them?
Yeah, how about, right, we could give you the draft comments and then, maybe there'll be changes and maybe there won't be changes. And then we could update it on the 7th, but at least you'd know some of the topics.
that's important because I'm thinking we probably wouldn't change what you drafted, but it may guide our executive summary a little bit to gather some of the key issues in
Right.
that
And
would
then we
then be
can-
refined on the 7th or 8th or
Yep.
whenever it is.
Okay.
Okay. I like that
Do
plan.
that. Great.
That would work.
All right, anybody else have anything to add? I think we're good. Thank you, everybody. That'd be good input. Next item is appointments, consideration of appointments for boards, committees, and commissions. And we have a total of 20 appointments, I believe. And so what I'm proposing is we'll go commission by commission. I'll read the names. And I'm proposing that we don't ask anyone who's up for reappointment to speak, but anyone that's a new appointment, we ask them to speak. Does that seem like an okay procedure to everyone?
Fair.
Okay, so the first commission that we're talking about is Agricultural Commission. And we have William Harris for reappointment for a term expiring in 2025, and Robin Stahl is a new appointment, an alternate. Now, I don't know if Robin's on. Does it, let me see, you guys can help me look for people.
I don't see her.
Okay. So
Not everybody could make
no, that's
make it
fine.
tonight.
Now, do you recommend that we vote each commission individually, or should we do it that way?
I
Or
think
do we want to do them as an aggregate at the end?
I would say I would make a motion to appoint the 2 members to the agricultural. I think we should do it separately. I don't like the idea. These are important things that we do. We should do individual
Yes.
commissions.
Okay,
So
so
I would make a motion to appoint, sorry, I have the list here.
William Harris,
Appoint William Harris and Robin Stahl to the Agricultural Commission for a term to expire June 15th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I am I as well. The next one is Conservation Commission. We have 2 new appointments. Kurt Stiegel is a new appointment with a 2025 term, and Matthew Olayer is a new appointment also to a 2025 term. And the third person is Carol McGarry for a 6-month term.
Jeff, Matt Olair is on here, so.
Okay. Do you want to introduce yourself, Matt? Just tell us your interest in the Conservation Commission.
Well, you guys kind of asked me, but I'm happy to do it. To speak for 60 seconds, so we're all happy about that. My family and I have been here for about 8-9 years. We live on Ivy Lane. My wife teaches at Chickering. I got a bunch of kids in the DS school system. And I'm a lawyer in Boston. And I don't know that anything I've done has been directly on point. I've handled a couple 21E oil spill cases, but that's probably irrelevant. But that's about it. I'm looking forward to helping our town. We love it here, and always looking to get more involved.
Excellent. Thank you for stepping up. We really appreciate it.
Glad to do it.
Okay, so do I have a
Jeff,
motion?
Marion has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marion, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to ask about all of the candidates, actually. Matt, we're starting with Matt. What is your particular interest in Conservation Commission? I mean, rather, there are a lot of town boards and committees that you could join. I just want to get a sense of why Conservation Commission.
Well, I didn't know we were going to be having a test this evening, but I don't know. I mean, it's in line with my thoughts politically and socially, and I think it just makes sense. And it seemed like a good way for me to expand what I'm involved with on a day-to-day basis and maybe help out our town a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
And I don't think Kurt could come, so I'll make a nomination to appoint Matt Olair and Kurt Stiegel to 3-year terms expiring June 15th, 2025, and Carol McGarry for a 6-month term expiring, I guess that would be December 15th, 2022.
And we have, before we vote, thank you for that. Let's just see, Michael, did you want to add something to that?
Hi, Matt. I'm Michael Lester, Conservation Commissioner, and now co-chair. And I guess it's too late in the process, I guess, a little bit. I just wanted to say that the Conservation Commission, unlike some of the other boards, because it's a regulatory board, it's requires a significant commitment of time in terms of meetings, and there'll be hopefully, and there's a number of trainings that people need to do. In fact, the DEP or a person who supports us wants to come and give training to any new members there, so that and almost every member has gone through some of the standards, some of the typical training that's been done by a state association of commissioners. So it hopefully that fits in with your level of commitment for this work, since it does take a significant bit of time, and there's a learning curve to doing this. As a lawyer, you can certainly will be able to digest all the regulatory stuff there, and then there's the science side that hopefully you'll enjoy learning about, and then for the wetlands protection, and then there's the open space management, which maybe is also an interest that we do things. So just wanted to make that public statement about what it takes, and look forward to you committing to that kind of stuff. I'll stop there. I don't know if any other commissioners I see show up want to say anything.
Any other comments? We have a motion and a second. Oh, I'm sorry. Carol? I think you're muted.
Thank you. I just came in on the end of what Michael said, and I've been on the commission, I think, for 2 terms. So maybe, is that 6 years? I mean, during that time, I have gone every year to the MACC meeting, except after COVID. I took multiple sessions by webinar, and I was certified. And you really need to do that to be an effective commission member, because we're talking about regulatory stuff that's completely specific to conservation. And then you also need to understand about wetlands, about wetland plants, about wetland delineation, even if you don't have to do it yourself. There's just quite a body of information that you have to master in order to be an effective commissioner. And I think the other thing is your role is to regulate. And that means you cannot stray away from both the Sherburne regulations and the Massachusetts regulations. No matter whether you think a particular property should or should not, be regulated a certain way, you have to stay with the actual law. And so, if you're going to join, you better be pro wetlands, because that's what DEP regulations are about. So that's what I have to say about that.
Thanks, Carol. Courtney.
Yeah, I'm sorry, George, did you want to say something?
No, he didn't have his hand up.
Oh, he looked like he was saying something.
My kids are in the other room and keep coming in and asking me questions. Sorry.
They want to know when the Celtics are on.
Yeah, let's not scare the potential new commissioners away. Yes, it is. This is not like other boards and committees. It's kind of odd because we're not elected, but we are an appointed regulatory board. And I did speak with a DEP circuit rider, and she's a great circuit rider. She's willing to come and do whatever trainings that we need. She can do them in person. She can do Zooms after work. And it's not just specific to new commissioners, but any topics that we need covered. She's also willing to come to any public meeting to talk about conservation commissions, their duties, that sort of thing. So it's it's a tough position, but it's going to be great to have a lawyer, another lawyer, because it's like very regulatory and it can be difficult, trying to administer regulations on your neighbors in a neighborly way, which is kind of the goal.
Okay, do you have something new to add, Michael?
Yeah, just a new thing to say, yes. I didn't mean to scare anybody off. Since we have a group of people here, I would like to say that we even have additional openings. So that if people are interested in even talking about what it takes to join, and the kind of things you learn about, that I'm making a plug for all I say that I said before. We don't want to scare people away, but it's satisfying. There's a lot of interesting stuff to be dealt with. It's even on the land management that we do. But I'd like to open it up to the fact that if people have other ideas of who would like to join, then we're certainly, it would be nice to talk to people about what it is we do and what it takes.
I don't get paid to recruit, even though I've been going around asking everyone, even on site visits.
Okay, Daryl?
I'd like to sign up. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Okay.
But you should mention that you have field trips with your commission. That might be an enticement.
Okay. So I think we already have a motion and a second to appoint these three people. So shall we take a vote? Marion?
Aye.
George? Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I am I as well. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. Next one we're doing is Council on Aging, which we have a reappointment of Jerry Hahn to expire in 2025, a reappointment of Peter Hoagland to expire in 2025, and a new appointment of, not a new person, but a new appointment of Jim Campbell. And I was getting all the
I don't
new
believe
people-
he's here, Jeff.
I don't see Jim anywhere. So does anyone have anything they
Move
want to?
approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
I am I as well. Next one is the Disability Advisory Committee. Carol D'Souza is a reappointment expiring 2025.
Approval.
So I'd move her reappointment. She's wonderful. So,
She's incredible. She really is.
yeah.
A
All
second.
right, Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
I am I as well. Another incredible person, Elderly Housing, Alicia Goody, new appointment expiring 2025. I think she's here. Are you here,
Alicia is
Alicia?
here tonight, yes.
I'm here, yep.
We know you, so do you, anything you want to say about your interest in Elderly Housing Committee?
Yeah, so as you know, I was on Leland and I found that, oh, please excuse my dog. She's vicious tonight. I enjoyed that. I like the people there. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I had to step back because I have a sister who is suffering from early onset Alzheimer's. She was in an assisted living facility. I had to move her somewhere else, and that took up quite a bit of time and just personal time and personal energy. So that's why I stepped back from Leland. But when I found out about Woodhaven, someone had mentioned it to me. I think that's an important asset to the town as well. I've always admired Kitty Sturgis, the other people on the board, Mike Kickham, Joe Meany. I'm leaving people out, Janet Walsh, just a lot of good people. And so it would be a privilege to join them and keep this running smoothly. It's big shoes to fill there if Kitty does leave, but I think it will be an interesting thing.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I am I as well. Now, we already voted on Carol, but she just joined. You want to just say hi, Carol? We appointed you already to Disability Advisory Committee without you being here. You're muted, dear.
I'm sorry. Yes, I was here. I'm waiting for the next one because you've got to discuss me at the personnel board.
I know. All right, we'll come to you. We'll come to that. Next is Energy and Sustainability, Fred Cunningham reappointment and Andrew Lauterbach reappointment.
These are really good people. Move approval.
Second.
Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I am I as well. Michael, did you want to comment on that? I know you're very involved with that committee.
Yeah, happy to chair that one. But yes, since we have a lot of people here, again, I'd like to make a plug that there's room for more people on the committee. If people want to ever talk about joining the committee, I'm certainly available. So just using it as another advertising.
Thank you. Farm Pond Advisory Committee, Jackie Barton is a reappointment. Is Jackie here? I don't think we need to do it for the reappointment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
I might as well. Historic District Commission, we have two reappointments, Peggy Novak and James Guarino.
So I have a question about this.
Yep.
It says it's a 5-person committee and we have 6 listed.
Hang on a second. Let's look
Is
at it.
somebody an alternate?
I don't know. Give me a second here, Paul. We do have 6 listed.
It may be one is an associate. I will check that out.
You're getting very high marks for detailed reading there, though, Mr. Durensis.
Well, the point is, I don't want to nominate somebody and then in effect,
we're stacking
oust
these,
somebody else.
We're stacking these committees, Paul. It shows them both being reappointment. Although, you know, on this list, it only shows James as being a reappointment. It doesn't show Peggy being up.
Peggy's not due up. Peggy is not due up for appointment. She's yeah, she's the historic district, but they're on the historical commission.
Oh, that's Historic District Commission.
Yeah.
That's where we're.
Right, this is the historic district.
District.
Has 7 members.
Oh, right. On the
Yeah.
historical commission, it should be only James. So, but I don't know who of the others is.
So I think this is we can figure this out afterwards. I think we can vote. We're voting actually on the Historic District.
Right.
No,
Not the
voting on
Historical Commission.
No, we're voting on the historic
Historic District Commission.
No.
It's the one that has 7
Novak.
members. So,
Right.
and that's James. So I think we can make a motion on that. Because there's 7, 2 up for appointment now.
I move reappoint them on the Historic District Commission.
Yes, okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
I as well. Now, the Historic Commission is the next one, and that's only listing James for reappointment.
But there's no vacancy.
Right, there's
Well,
5,
no,
there's 6 people listed there.
I know, we may have to find out if there's 6 or 7. Do you,
It may be one, maybe it's just an associate. I can check that out.
Leave one as
Yes.
associate.
would you prefer that we defer and vote on this on June 30th?
Yes, because I don't want to
Yes.
oust somebody from their job.
Right,
Unknowing.
let's delay this one until the 30th.
Okay, can you do that, Diane? Just put that one commission?
Yeah, I'll bring the historical commission back, right?
Yeah, and we'll figure out how many they are. Okay, and we have land acquisition, of Warren Wheelwright for reappointment.
So
Do I have a
moved.
motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I am I as well. Okay, that's good. So next one is open space, Dave Colleen. Reappointment,
So
Move
moved.
approval.
okay. Marion?
Second, oh, aye.
That's good. You can do that too. George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
I might as well. Now we're at Personnel Board with Carol D'Souza. And Carol, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Many people know you, but some people don't.
I'm Carol D'Souza. I moved to Sherborn 3 years ago. Some of you may remember 3 years ago when I was serving on the Council on Aging and the Disability Advisory Board, there was an issue of staffing and hiring and firing and so on in the Council on Aging, which brought me to a discussion with this group and questions for this group regarding advisory versus supervisory committees. That issue has been taken care of. The Council on Aging is now volunteer board in an advisory capacity, but when the bylaws were written 50 years ago, that was not the case. In the meantime, I currently serve on the never-ending town administrator search committee.
We didn't say find, we just said search. We never said find.
And she's doing a great job too.
And thank you, Paul. And I, in reviewing the bylaws again regarding personnel issues and so on, the town's hierarchy, the organizational chart and so on, I realized that there are some questions, much like on the Council on Aging, that need to be asked within the personnel board. I was also asked to join this board, and I am more than happy to do that. And so I would appreciate your consideration of that appointment.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
I think you'll be an excellent addition too, Carol. Marion?
Thank you.
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I as well. So we have 3 reappointments for the Recycling Committee: Diane Hanson, David Muniz, and Charlie Tyler. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. I know I'm wearing you guys out. Marion?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
I might as well. 2 new applications for Traffic Safety Committee. We have Zachary McBride is new and Penn Young. And I don't see Zachary, but Penn's here. Would you like to tell us about your interest, Penn?
Yes. So I've lived in Sherburne since 1990, most of that time on Russet Hill Road, 2 years on Nason Hill Road. My background so my first desire was to finally give back to the town and do my bit. And so I had my eyes open for that. And 2 things, there have been 2 developments on that front. Well, one is this committee. I saw that there was a spot open for it. My interest as a hobby has been participating in and teaching high performance driving, which has a very strong safety component. And so that's safety is very much my mind. Earlier in my life, I was a fencing coach, and fencing is also an activity where, bad things can happen if people don't pay attention and take care. So that's sort of, those things have been in my background. So it seemed like a reasonable fit for me. And then sort of in parallel, I've gotten very interested. I've come to realize that I don't know very much about what public safety does in Sherburne, fire and police, and even public works. And so I've started writing a column that appears in the link on that. And through that, I've been talking with Chief Ward and Chief Galvin and trying to educate all of us about what all those people do for us to keep us safe. So it isn't directly an extension of that, but it's in the same bailiwick.
Well, there'll be two big projects. You know, we did the project, the second access road at Pine Hill, which was a big traffic safety, and then considering a roundabout at the intersection of Maple Street and 16 there by Town Hall. So they'll have heavy involvement. So there'll be some pretty cool projects to analyze.
Yeah, I'm aware of that and excited by it.
Marion?
All right, and potential work on roads that we already have that are safety hazards like Western Avenue and others. So I'm so glad you're applying. I have a related kind of question about the Traffic Safety Committee. It's not really a question to you, Penn, but just to clarify for everyone, we had a Public Safety Committee that seems to not be listed here anymore.
We sunset that, Marion, because we felt like it was duplicating the service with the traffic safety as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I just brought it up and I know about that. I brought it up for everyone to understand that there is no more Public Safety Committee. So the Traffic Safety Committee is particularly important. So thank you.
Okay, great. So I have a motion. Go ahead.
Yeah, I made a motion.
You made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I am I as well. Thanks very much, Penn. Appreciate it.
Welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Hey, guys. Sherburne Housing Trust, we have George Morrow reappointment and Addie Mae Weiss reappointment.
I don't think we actually have to do this. Wait just a second, because Diane, did you say we actually weren't up for reappointment?
Well,
No.
I checked it out with Addie, and as it turns out, the both of you are due up for reappointment.
Okay. I was just confused because the last email I saw from you.
Yeah, I know.
But let me ask a question then. Why is it only a 2-year instead of 3-year? Like
State
the
laws has to be 2 years.
2 years? Okay.
So can I make my motion?
Yes, sorry, Paul.
My honor and privilege to nominate my colleague George Morrow and Addie Mae Weiss.
Second.
All right, Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I as well. And thank you for all the volunteers who we've appointed. We really appreciate your support and couldn't do this without you. So thank
Yeah,
you.
Before we leave this, could I just make a statement along those lines?
Yes, please, Paul.
I wanted to thank all the volunteers, those who we've seen come forward today, but also the volunteers who have been serving the town. Thank you for the countless hours that have been put in on all the boards and committees, and that everyone is appreciated. Everyone is valued. Our town could not run without the contributions that are being made by everybody. We all pitch in. This is a community. Everybody, even the Board of Selectmen, are volunteers. This is what makes a small town run, and it's what makes Sherburne run. So it's with great gratitude and thanks that I think everyone should feel quite appreciated. Thank you.
Well said, Paul. Marion, did you want to add something?
Yeah, second what Paul just said. But I wanted to add that new people that are joining a committee or board for the first time may want to have a copy of the town's master plan. It's just a good reference. It's a lot of general information about the town and thinking that's gone into the town by volunteers over the course of several years. So I'm going to have copies of the master plan be made available in the select board office for any new volunteers to come and pick them up. Just to let you know.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. So now the item 11 on the agenda is reviewing the draft meeting calendar, which is the last page in our packet tonight. And it's shown two meetings a month through the end of the year.
One thing I just wanted to say, Paul brought it up at the last meeting, but if we stay on that every other week schedule, the December meeting should actually be December 1st and December 15th. We're not.
Yeah,
meeting the
I
week
don't,
of
I
Christmas.
know that's what my note, because you couldn't possibly always be 2 in any month uniformly if you were on a 2-week schedule.
Right, so I think we should do,
and
I think we should do
December
the
15th?
first the 1st and the 15th instead of the
Okay,
22nd.
okay,
And then we're not meeting the week of Christmas and
okay.
we can
Thank you.
But the other,
still have it every other week.
I didn't look at the calendar. The other months were okay? George?
Yep, everything else is consistent with our every other week schedule, but I think
Okay,
December
On
we
the-
should change to the 1st. and
Okay,
15th.
on the 14th, that's the meeting that we're gonna do the year-end transfers.
yes, and we're also doing the signing of the letter on the mass housing.
Yes, and on the 14th too, I don't think advisory, if I read all the emails correctly,
Yeah, I know.
um,
It got
won't
crazy.
be at that meeting. They're gonna do theirs on the 13th.
Okay.
Yeah,
Unless the select
we
board
used
want
to-
to go that night too and meet with them on the 13th, meet 2 nights in a row and,
We've done it separately in the past. When I was
okay,
on, we used to do it as a joint meeting. So there's,
okay,
they can do that. They can, we can kind of take advice as to what they do on Wednesday night and then do our thing on Thursday night.
I think that makes sense.
So I would move approval of these meeting dates with the change of December to December 1st and December 15th.
Yep,
I'll second it with great gratitude to George for fixing December. So we didn't have to meet on Christmas Eve.
there goes our eggnog budget.
Our kids have school till the 23rd, so that's just a regular night anyway. So.
Are there any select board reports?
I just want to report this is the best meeting I've been to in 2 years.
High praise for the chair, right?
And do you have any either town administrator report, Diane?
Wait just a second there, Jeff. I had one quick one. I
Oh,
just
I'm
wanted
sorry.
to, I just wanted to encourage people to, if you're available on Saturday, both our boys and girls lacrosse teams are in the Final Four, and they're playing a doubleheader at Norwell High School, both playing against Sandwich at
Ah,
8 o'clock for the girls and 5 o'clock for the boys. So
ah.
Oh, nice.
down there, and they're looking for as much fan support from Dover Sherburne as we can get with both.
Bummer.
Where did you say, George? Norwell?
Norwell High School. It's
Yeah, okay.
on Saturday, the 18th at 3 o'clock for the girls and 5 o'clock for the boys.
All right, I might make that.
So point of order,
Yes, sir.
we never voted on George's motion.
Oh,
Oh.
Approve the dates.
Okay, I thought we did. All right, so I apologize. Have we a second? Do we
Yes.
second? Okay,
Yep.
Marion,
Aye.
George,
aye.
Eric, Paul,
Aye.
and I am I as well, and I move that we adjourn to TD Garden. Do I have a second?
Second,
Tickets?
the ABC, Channel
Yeah.
5.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for a great meeting. Appreciate it.
good
We have
night.
to take a vote on that, Eric? I mean, Jeff?
Yeah, I think we got it. It's unanimous.
Yeah, all right. Good night.
Good night.
Ciao, guys.